The words hung in the air like poison. I stood in my own living room in the house I had worked 12 years to buy, staring at the man I thought I would marry in 3 weeks. "I'm serious, Nicole," Brandon said, crossing his arms over his chest. "The wedding is off unless you put your house, your car, and even your savings in my name." My heart pounded so hard I could hear it in my ears. The late afternoon sun streamed through my bay windows, casting light on the cream leather sofa where we had cuddled just last weekend. Everything looked the same, but nothing would ever be the same again. "You want me to put everything in your name?" I repeated slowly, making sure I heard him correctly. "Yes, everything." He walked to the window, looking out at my garden with its roses and lavender. "When we get married, we'll be one. What's yours should be mine. It's only fair." Fair. The word made my stomach turn. I had bought this house when I was 28. I was 35 now. 7 years of mortgage payments, never missing one. 7 years of furnishing it piece by piece, choosing every item with care. The dining table came from an estate sale. The art on the walls represented trips I took, places I discovered on my own. The kitchen renovation last year cost me 6 months of overtime at the hospital where I worked as a senior surgical nurse. Brandon moved in 6 months ago. He contributed nothing to the mortgage. He bought groceries sometimes, maybe twice a month. "And the car?" I asked, my voice steady despite the rage building inside me. "The Range Rover, yes. Put it in my name too." He turned to face me, his expression hard. "And I want access to all your accounts. I need to see the full picture of what we're working with." Wait, as if he had built any of this. "Why now, Brandon? Why 3 weeks before the wedding?" He sighed like I was being difficult. "Because I need to know you trust me. My boys have been asking questions. They want to know why my woman has everything in her name like she doesn't trust her man. It makes me look weak." His boys. Those friends of his who never seemed to have jobs but always had opinions. They gathered at sports bars, splitting appetizers and complaining about women who made more money than them. I had met them twice and disliked them both times. "Your boys?" I repeated. "This is about what your friends think? This is about respect," he snapped. "This is about you showing me that you see me as your equal, as your partner, as your husband." I wanted to laugh. He worked part-time at a gym, personal training clients when they showed up. Some weeks he made $800. Some weeks less. I made $90,000 a year, sometimes more with overtime. I had retirement accounts, investments, a savings account that could cover a year of expenses. Brandon had a checking account that overdrafted regularly. "I need time to think about this," I said carefully. "Time? The wedding is in 3 weeks, Nicole. The venue is booked. The catering is ordered. Your dress is hanging in the closet upstairs." He moved closer to me. "I'm not asking for much. Just for you to prove you love me. Prove I love him by giving him everything I worked for. By making myself vulnerable. By trusting a man who had never shown me he was trustworthy with money." I said I need time to think, I repeated, firmer this time. His jaw tightened. "Fine. You have until tomorrow night. I want an answer by then or I'm calling off the wedding myself." He grabbed his gym bag from the hallway and walked out, slamming the door behind him. I stood there, frozen, listening to his car start and drive away. Then I moved to the window and watched until his taillights disappeared down the street. My phone buzzed. My best friend Tasha. "Hey girl, just checking on the final head count. How many confirmed so far?" I stared at the text message. 163 people were expecting a wedding in 3 weeks. My family had bought plane tickets. My mother had purchased the emerald dress. My father had prepared a speech. My younger brother had asked for time off from his job in Atlanta. The venue was paid for. The photographer was booked. The florist had my deposit. The cake was designed, a 3-tier creation with fresh flowers cascading down the sides. And the man I planned to marry just demanded I sign over everything I owned. I texted Tasha back. "Can you come over tonight? I need to talk." "On my way." 20 minutes. I walked through my house, really looking at it. Every corner held a memory of struggle and triumph. The downstairs bathroom where I had installed new tile myself, watching YouTube videos to learn how. The office where I studied for my nursing boards, crying from exhaustion but pushing through. The master bedroom where I collapsed after double shifts, grateful to have a soft bed in a safe place that belonged to me. This house represented every sacrifice I made. Every extra shift. Every time I said no to vacation so I could save more. Every time I brought lunch from home instead of buying it. Every careful budget, every smart decision, every moment of discipline. Brandon wanted me to hand it all over because his friends thought it made him look weak. I walked to my safe, hidden in the back of my closet. Inside were my important documents. The deed to my house. The title to my car. My birth certificate, my nursing license, my investment statements. Everything that proved who I was and what I had built. I thought about Brandon's proposal last year. We were at a beach in Mexico and he got down on one knee at sunset. It felt romantic then. He promised to love me forever, to build a life together, to be my partner. But partners don't demand. Partners don't issue ultimatums. Partners don't make threats 3 weeks before a wedding. I heard Tasha's car pull up outside. She had a key, so I heard her let herself in. "Nicole? Where you at?" "Upstairs," I called. She came up, still in her blue scrubs from her shift at the clinic. Tasha and I had been friends since nursing school, 15 years of friendship that survived everything. She took one look at my face and her expression changed. "What did he do?" I told her everything. The ultimatum, the timeline, the threat to cancel the wedding. Tasha sat on my bed, shaking her head. "He's out of his mind. His boys think I should have everything in his name." "His boys are broke and bitter," Tasha said flatly. "They see a successful woman and can't handle it. And Brandon is too weak to stand up to them. He gave me until tomorrow night to decide." "And what are you going to decide?" I looked at my best friend, this woman who knew me better than almost anyone. "I'm going to make him think I'm considering it." Tasha's eyes widened. "And then?" "And then I'm going to show him exactly what happens when you try to manipulate me." She grinned slowly. "Tell me everything." We talked until midnight, planning every detail. By the time Tasha left, I knew exactly what I needed to do. I barely slept that night, my mind racing through possibilities and consequences. The next morning, I called into work and took a personal day. I had things to arrange and they couldn't wait. Brandon texted me at noon. "Have you thought about what I said?" I responded, still thinking. "This is a big decision." "Not that big. People who love each other share everything." I didn't respond to that. Let him think I was conflicted. Let him think he was winning. Instead, I made a list. A long list of everything I needed to do in the next 72 hours. By tomorrow night, Brandon would have his answer. Just not the answer he expected. I sat in my home office Tuesday morning, my laptop open, coffee going cold beside me. I had always been good at research. Nursing school taught me to gather information, analyze data, and make informed decisions. Now I was applying those same skills to the man I almost married. Brandon Torres. 33 years old. Personal trainer. Decent credit score the last time I checked, though that was over a year ago. But I never looked deeper than that. Love made you trust. Love made you believe the best in people. Love made you stupid. Not anymore. I started with social media, scrolling back through his posts from before we met. Pictures at clubs, at bars, always surrounded by the same group of guys. His boys. I recognized them from the 2 times I met them. Jerome with the gold chains. Patrick, who always had a comment about what women should and shouldn't do. And Kevin, who once told me I was too independent for my own good. These were the men whose opinions mattered so much that Brandon was willing to destroy our relationship over them. I kept scrolling. 3 years ago there were pictures with a woman named Shanice. Pretty, with long braids and a bright smile. They looked happy together in the photos. Beach trips, concerts, dinners. Then the photo stopped abruptly. I clicked on her profile. It was private, but her profile picture showed her with a small child now. I sent her a message request. "Hi Shanice. My name is Nicole. I think we need to talk about Brandon Torres." I didn't expect a response. But 30 minutes later my phone buzzed. "He tried it with you too?" My stomach dropped. "Tried what? Can I call you?" I sent her my number. 5 minutes later my phone rang. "Hello? Nicole?" Her voice was cautious. "Thank you for reaching out. When I saw your message I thought I should warn you." "Warn me about what?" Shanice took a breath. "Brandon and I dated for 2 years. Everything was good at first. He was charming, sweet, attentive. Then we started talking about marriage. That's when things changed." I sat up straighter. "Changed how?" "He started pressuring me to add him to my lease. I had an apartment in a nice building, good location, rent controlled. He wanted his name on it. Said it would prove I was serious about us." My heart raced. "What happened?" I said no at first. But he kept pushing. He made me feel guilty, like I didn't trust him. His friends kept making comments about how I thought I was better than him. Finally, I agreed to think about it. And then I found out he had $20,000 in debt. Credit cards, personal loans, even money he owed to some shady people. He thought if his name was on my lease he could use it as collateral for more loans. He thought I would bail him out. I felt sick. How did you find out? His mail started coming to my place. I opened something that looked like a bill by accident. It was from a collections agency. I confronted him and he admitted everything. Said he needed help, said he would pay it back, said I was selfish for not wanting to help my man. What did you do? I broke up with him the next day. Changed my locks. Told him to lose my number. I closed my eyes. He's doing the same thing to me. Different angle, same goal. I'm so sorry, Shanice said. But I'm glad I could warn you. He's good at making women feel like they're the problem. Like we're not supportive enough or loving enough. But really, he's just looking for someone to finance his lifestyle. We talked for another 20 minutes. She told me about his spending habits, how he always had an excuse for why he couldn't contribute equally. How he would buy expensive sneakers but claim he couldn't afford to split utilities. How his friends enabled his behavior, telling him he deserved to be taken care of. After we hung up, I sat in silence processing everything. I had ignored signs. Small things that didn't seem important at the time. How Brandon never offered to pay for major repairs on the house. How he bristled when I mentioned my retirement accounts. How he changed the subject when I talked about investments. I opened my banking app and checked my accounts. Everything was still secure, still in my name only. I had never given him access, despite his occasional hints that it would be easier if he could see the full picture of our finances. Our finances. There was no R. There was my money, carefully saved and invested, and his occasional contributions that never amounted to much. I pulled up my credit report next. Clean as always. No suspicious activity, no new accounts. He hadn't tried to steal my identity, at least not yet. Then I did something I should have done a year ago. I ran a proper background check. Nothing criminal came up, but the financial picture was clear. Brandon had debt. Lots of it. And most of it was recent, accumulated after we met. He was living beyond his means, trying to keep up an image. The nice gym clothes. The occasional expensive dinner where he insisted on paying, probably putting it on a credit card. The gifts he bought me for birthdays and holidays, never extravagant but always just a bit more than he could afford. He was drowning and he thought marrying me would be his life raft. My phone rang. Brandon. I let it ring 3 times before answering. Hey. Hey baby. How's your day going? Good. Just relaxing at home. That's good. You been thinking about what we talked about? I have. I kept my voice neutral, giving nothing away. And? It's a lot to consider, Brandon. This is my whole life we're talking about. Our whole life, he corrected. Once we're married, it's our life. Right. Our life. So what are you thinking? Are you going to do it? I need a little more time. Can we talk tonight? I want to go through everything carefully. I heard frustration in his voice. Nicole, you're overthinking this. People who are about to get married combine their assets. It's normal. I know. I just want to make sure I do it right. There's paperwork involved, legal stuff. I want to talk to someone who knows about these things. Talk to who? You better not be asking your friends. They don't understand our relationship. I'm thinking about talking to a lawyer. Just to make sure everything is done properly. Silence. Then, a lawyer? Why would you need a lawyer? Because if I'm putting everything in your name, I want to make sure it's done legally. Don't you want that too? More silence. I mean, yeah, of course. I just didn't think we needed all that. We trust each other. Exactly. So doing it the right way shouldn't be a problem. Right. Yeah. Okay. So when are you going to do all this? I'll call someone today. Maybe we can have an answer by the end of the week. The end of the week? Nicole, the wedding is in 3 weeks. I know. But this is important. I want to do it right. He sighed heavily. Fine. But I need an answer soon. This is stressing me out. Stressing him out. As if he was the one being asked to give up everything. I understand. I'll handle it as quickly as I can. After we hung up, I smiled for the first time all day. He bought it. He actually thought I was considering his ridiculous demand. I texted Tasha. He thinks I'm getting a lawyer to transfer everything to his name. She responded immediately. Girl, you're cold. I love it. Just getting started. I spent the rest of the day making calls. But not to lawyers. To locksmiths, to my bank, to my financial advisor. I called the wedding venue and asked about their cancellation policy. I called my insurance company to confirm Brandon was never added to any of my policies. I called my HR department to verify he wasn't listed as a beneficiary on anything. Every call was a step toward freedom. By evening I had a plan. A detailed, methodical plan that would leave Brandon with nothing but his own reflection to look at. He texted me at 7. Coming over tonight? Not tonight. I'm tired. Long day. You sure? I could bring dinner. I'm sure. I need to rest. Big day tomorrow. What's tomorrow? Just work stuff. Talk later? Yeah. Love you. I stared at those 2 words. Did he love me? Or did he love what I represented? Security, stability, a way out of his debt. I didn't respond to his text. Instead, I pulled out my wedding planner, the beautiful red binder where I had organized every detail of our upcoming ceremony. Flowers, music, menu choices, seating arrangements. Months of planning, thousands of dollars spent. I flipped through the pages thinking about how excited I had been. How I imagined walking down the aisle to a man who loved me for me, not for what I owned. That fantasy died yesterday when Brandon showed his true colors. Tomorrow I would start dismantling everything. But tonight I would sleep well knowing I was making the right choice. Wednesday morning arrived with clear skies and purpose. I woke at 6, made coffee and sat down with my red wedding binder and a notebook. Time to get organized. The locksmith was scheduled for 9. I told Brandon I had errands to run and wouldn't be home until late. He didn't question it, probably thinking I was meeting with a lawyer like I suggested. Perfect. At 8:30, Tasha arrived with bagels and determination. Ready to do this? She asked, setting breakfast on my kitchen counter. More ready than I've ever been. The locksmith arrived exactly at 9. Professional, efficient, no questions asked. I had him change all the locks, front door and back. New keys, new deadbolts, everything. I kept one set for myself and gave the spare to Tasha. What about his stuff? Tasha asked, watching the locksmith work. That's next on the list. Brandon didn't have much at my house. Some clothes in the closet, toiletries in the bathroom, his gaming system in the living room. Everything fit in 4 boxes. I packed them carefully, not out of sentimentality but because I wanted no excuse for him to claim I damaged his belongings. The boxes went into my garage, stacked neatly by the door. When the time came, he could collect them from outside. He would not be entering my house again. Next, I called my bank. Hi, I need to verify that there are no authorized users on any of my accounts. The representative checked. No, Ms. Nicole. Your accounts only have your name. Perfect. And I want to set up a verbal password. If anyone calls claiming to be me or asking about my accounts, they need this password. Of course. What would you like it to be? I thought for a moment. Independence. After the bank, I called my financial advisor, Robert. We had worked together for 5 years, and he had helped me build a solid investment portfolio. Robert, I need to make sure my accounts are locked down. I'm going through a breakup, and I want to be certain no one can access my investments. I understand. Let me pull up your accounts. I heard typing. Everything is solely in your name. No joint ownership, no beneficiaries listed except your mother. That's what I wanted to confirm. Can we add extra security measures? Maybe a notification if anyone tries to access my information? Absolutely. I'll set up alerts for any login attempts, any changes to contact information, and any withdrawal requests. You'll get an email and a text immediately. Thank you. After I hung up, Tasha looked at me with admiration. You're handling this like a pro. Years of planning and saving made this possible. I'm not about to let someone take it because he manipulated the wrong woman. What about the wedding? I opened my binder to the vendor list. 43 vendors, from the venue to the videographer. I start making calls this afternoon. But first, there's something else I need to do. The wedding suit. Brandon's custom suit, made by a tailor downtown. He had spent $2,000 on it, which he put on a credit card. The final fitting was scheduled for Friday. I drove to the tailor's shop, a small place run by an older man named Mr. Peterson. He had been in business for 30 years and his work was beautiful. Miss Nicole, he greeted me warmly. Good to see you. Is everything okay? Actually, Mr. Peterson, I need to talk to you about Brandon's suit. His smile faded slightly. Is there a problem? The wedding is canceled. I'm here to pick up the suit. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. Thank you. I know Brandon hasn't paid the full balance yet. That's correct. He paid half as deposit, still owes $1,000. I pulled out my credit card. I'll pay the balance. And then I'd like to donate the suit. Mr. Peterson blinked. Donate it? Yes. I know you work with a charity that provides professional clothing to men who are getting back on their feet. Men re-entering the workforce, coming from difficult situations. I'd like the suit to go to someone who needs it. Understanding dawned on his face. He tried to hide his smile but couldn't quite manage it. That's very generous of you. Let me get the paperwork. I paid the remaining balance and signed the donation form. Mr. Peterson assured me the suit would go to someone deserving. When is Mr. Torres's fitting scheduled? I asked casually. Friday afternoon. 3 o'clock. He'll probably still show up. Should I tell him? I considered. Tell him the suit has been taken care of. Don't elaborate unless he asks. Mr. Peterson nodded slowly. I understand. As I left the shop, I felt lighter. Brandon's precious suit, the one he bragged about to his friends, would now help someone who actually deserved it. Someone who would appreciate the gift instead of taking it for granted. Back at home, I started on the vendors. This would be harder. First called the venue. The coordinator, Angela, answered on the second ring. Nicole, how are you? Getting excited? Angela, I need to cancel the wedding. Silence. Then, oh no. I'm so sorry. Can I ask what happened? Personal reasons. Can you tell me about the cancellation policy? Let me check your contract. More silence, the sound of papers shuffling. You lose your deposit, but since it's more than 2 weeks out, you won't be charged the full amount. I can refund 60%. Better than nothing. Please process that cancellation. Of course. Again, I'm so sorry. Next, the caterer. Same conversation, similar outcome. I would lose some money but not everything. The florist was more understanding. Honey, I've been in this business 30 years. I've seen it all. Better to cancel now than divorce later. The photographer, the DJ, the videographer. One by one I called them all. Some were sympathetic. Some were just businesslike. All of them processed cancellations. By 5 o'clock I had called 20 vendors. My head hurt and my heart was heavy despite my resolve. Tasha, who had stayed with me all day, ordered pizza. You're doing great, she said, handing me a slice. I know this isn't easy. The hardest part is telling my family. Have you called them yet? Not yet. I wanted to get everything else handled first. My phone buzzed. Brandon. Hey, you almost done with your errands? Yeah, just finishing up. Can I see you tonight? I miss you. I bet he did. He was probably anxious about my decision. I'm exhausted. Tomorrow? Tomorrow's Thursday. You said you'd have an answer by end of week. I will. I promise. Okay. Love you. I set the phone down without responding. How long are you going to string him along? Tasha asked. Until Friday. Let him show up to that fitting. Let him see what happens when you underestimate me. Tasha raised her pizza slice in a toast. To revenge served cold. To freedom, I corrected. That night, after Tasha left, I composed an email to my family. My mother, my father, my brother. I explained everything. The ultimatum, my decision, the cancellation. I told them not to come for the wedding because there wouldn't be one. I didn't send it yet. I would wait until Friday after Brandon discovered the suit was gone. I wanted all the dominoes to fall at once. Thursday passed in a blur. More vendor calls, more cancellations. I called my mother briefly just to check in, carefully avoiding wedding talk. She was excited about her trip, about seeing me get married. The guilt ate at me, but I pushed it aside. She would understand when she knew the truth. Brandon texted throughout the day. Casual messages, nothing about the ultimatum. He was giving me space, probably thinking it made him look patient and understanding. I responded to every text just enough to keep him comfortable. Thursday night, I looked at my calendar. Friday was the day everything changed. The suit fitting at 3. By 3:30, Brandon would know. And by evening, everyone would know. I set my alarm for 6. Tomorrow would be a long day. Friday morning felt different. The air seemed clearer, my purpose sharper. I had spent 2 days preparing, planning, moving pieces into place. Now came the execution. I dressed carefully. Royal blue dress, professional but powerful. Gold jewelry my grandmother gave me. Hair pulled back in a sleek bun. I looked at myself in the mirror and barely recognized the woman staring back. She looked strong. Certain. Nothing like the person who had stood in this same spot 4 days ago, listening to her fiancé make impossible demands. Tasha called at 8. How you feeling? Ready. You want me to come over after work? Moral support. Yeah. Come around 5. By then it'll all be over. I spent the morning finishing the last vendor cancellations. The cake baker was disappointed but understanding. She had made my tasting samples with such care, adjusting flavors until everything was perfect. That 3-tier cake with fresh flowers would never exist now. The musicians, the lighting company, the rental company providing chairs and linens. Every call was another nail in the coffin of a wedding that should never happen. By noon I had called everyone except the dress shop. My wedding dress hung in my closet upstairs, a beautiful creation in ivory silk. I had tried it on a dozen times, imagining Brandon's face when he saw me walking down the aisle. Now I couldn't look at it without feeling disgust. Not at the dress, which was stunning, but at what it represented. A fantasy that was never real. I would deal with the dress later. For now I had to stay focused. At 2 o'clock I drove to a coffee shop near Mr. Peterson's tailor shop. I ordered tea and sat by the window where I could see the entrance. Brandon's fitting was at 3. I wanted to be close when it happened. My phone buzzed. Brandon. Hey, I'm heading to my fitting soon. Want to meet after? We could grab dinner. Can't tonight. Have plans with Tasha. Again? You've been seeing her a lot this week. She's my best friend. That's what best friends do. I know. Just miss you. Feels like I barely saw you this week. We'll talk soon. I promise. Okay. After my fitting I'll text you. Sounds good. I sipped my tea and waited. At 2:50 Brandon's car pulled up outside the tailor shop. He got out, dressed in his usual gym clothes, looking confident. He probably thought he looked good. Probably thought about how sharp he would look in that custom suit, how jealous his boys would be. He walked inside. I checked my watch. 3 o'clock exactly. I imagined the scene inside. Brandon greeting Mr. Peterson. Mr. Peterson's careful expression. The awkward moment when Brandon asked about the suit. 5 minutes passed. Then 10. At 3:15 Brandon came storming out. Even from across the street I could see his face was red. He stood on the sidewalk, phone pressed to his ear, gesturing angrily. Calling me. I let it ring. Then ring again. A text came through. Call me right now. I waited 2 more minutes, then called back. What's wrong? What's wrong? What's wrong? My suit is gone, Nicole. The tailor said it was donated. Donated? To some charity. Oh. That's all you have to say? Did you do this? I paid off your balance. You owed $1,000, Brandon. I figured I'd take care of it. Take care of it? You gave away my suit. Actually, I donated it. To men who are re-entering the workforce. Men who need professional clothing for job interviews. Men who would appreciate a $2,000 custom suit instead of demanding their girlfriend sign over her entire life. Silence. Long, heavy silence. You did this on purpose. Yes. Because I asked you to prove you love me? Because you tried to manipulate me into giving you everything I worked for? Because you issued an ultimatum instead of having an honest conversation? Because you let your friends dictate our relationship? Take your pick. Nicole, this is crazy. You're being crazy. No, Brandon. I'm being smart. Maybe for the first time since I met you. So what, the wedding is off? You're canceling everything because of a suit? The suit is symbolic. And yes, the wedding is off. I've spent the last 3 days canceling vendors, changing locks, and securing my assets. Everything you tried to take is still mine. Everything you thought you'd control is locked down. You changed the locks? Your belongings are in boxes in the garage. You can pick them up this weekend. I'll leave them by the back gate. You can't do this. I already did. And Brandon? That conversation you had with Shanice? She told me everything. About your debt, about how you tried the same thing with her. About how this is your pattern. Another long silence. When he spoke again, his voice was different. Cole, you talked to Shanice? You went behind my back. I did research. Due diligence. Something I should have done before I agreed to marry you. This is messed up, Nicole. This is really messed up. You led me on all week, making me think you were considering it. You gave me an ultimatum. I gave you false hope. Seems fair to me. Fair? You want to talk about fair? After everything I've done for you? I almost laughed. What exactly have you done for me, Brandon? Please enlighten me. I loved you. I supported you. You moved into my house and paid minimal rent. You ate my food, drove my car when yours broke down, and contributed nothing to this relationship except stress. That's not true. It is true. And deep down you know it. You thought marrying me would solve your financial problems. You thought you could pressure me into giving you access to everything I built. But I'm not Shanice. I'm not whoever else you tried this with. I'm Nicole, and I worked too hard to let anyone take what's mine. You're going to regret this. The only thing I regret is wasting a year with you. I hung up. My hands were shaking, but not from fear. From adrenaline, from relief, from the pure satisfaction of standing up for myself. I watched from the coffee shop as Brandon got back in his car and drove away, tires squealing. My phone rang immediately. I declined the call. He called again. Declined again. Text messages started flooding in. You can't do this to me. Everyone will know you're crazy. My boys are going to hear about this. Good luck finding someone else. You'll be alone forever. I blocked his number. Then I sent the email to my family. The one I had written 2 days ago explaining everything. I hit send and waited. 3 minutes later my mother called. Baby, I just read your email. Mama, I'm sorry. I know you were excited about the wedding. Excited? Nicole, I'm proud of you. That surprised me. You are. Of course I am. You protected yourself. You saw who he really was and you got out. That takes courage. I feel like I wasted everyone's time. Better to waste time than waste your life on the wrong person. Your father and I will cancel our flights. Don't you worry about any of that. You focus on you. Tears pricked my eyes. Thank you, Mama. You did the right thing, baby. Don't doubt that for a second. After we hung up, my brother called. Then my father. Both supportive, both angry on my behalf. My father especially wanted to have words with Brandon, but I told him it wasn't necessary. Brandon was out of my life now. That was punishment enough. By 4 o'clock, I had talked to a dozen family members. Word spread fast. The consensus was unanimous. I did the right thing. At 5, Tasha arrived with wine and Chinese food. So, how do you feel? I thought about it. Lighter. Like I can breathe again. Good. Because you're a queen, and queens don't give their kingdoms to jesters. We ate dinner and talked about everything except Brandon. My future, my plans, my relief. The apartment felt peaceful. Mine again, completely mine. Around 7 my doorbell rang. I checked the camera I had installed that morning. Brandon stood on my porch. Don't open it, Tasha said. I won't. He rang again. Then knocked. Then called my name. I turned up the TV volume. After 10 minutes he gave up. I watched him walk back to his car and drive away. He'll try again, Tasha predicted. Let him try. He has no power here anymore. That night after Tasha left, I walked through my house one more time. Everything was exactly as it should be. Peaceful, secure, mine. I thought about Brandon showing up at that tailor shop, expecting his suit, finding nothing. I thought about his face when he realized what I had done. I thought about how he probably called his boys, complained about the crazy woman who donated his suit. Let them talk. Let them say whatever they wanted. I knew the truth. I had protected myself. I had stood my ground. I had refused to be manipulated. And tomorrow I would start the real work of moving forward. Mr. Peterson called me Saturday morning. Ms. Nicole, I wanted to let you know that young man came back yesterday evening. After hours, banging on my door. I'm sorry he bothered you. No bother. I didn't answer. But I thought you should know. Thank you for telling me. And thank you for handling everything so professionally. My pleasure. That suit went to a young man named Christopher. He's starting a new job Monday after being in a program for the past year. He cried when I gave it to him. My throat tightened. That makes me happy. Really happy. You did a good thing. After we hung up, I thought about Christopher. A complete stranger who would wear that suit to his new job, getting a fresh start. That suit would change his life in a small but meaningful way. Meanwhile, Brandon lost something he never deserved in the first place. Perfect symmetry. The weekend passed quietly. Saturday, I sorted through Brandon's boxes one last time, making sure I hadn't accidentally packed anything of mine. Everything was his. Clothes, shoes, his gaming system, some books, toiletries. I texted him from a new app that lets you send messages without revealing your real number. Your belongings are by the back gate. Pick them up by Sunday evening or they go to donation. No response. But Sunday morning while I was at church with my mother, the boxes disappeared. I checked my security camera footage later. Brandon showed up with Jerome and Patrick, his 2 boys. They loaded the boxes into Jerome's truck. Brandon stood in my driveway staring at the house. This is messed up, man, I heard Jerome say on the audio. She really did you dirty. I know, Brandon replied. She's going to regret this. Patrick chimed in. We should slash her tires or something. Nah, Brandon said, though he didn't sound convinced. Let's just get out of here. They left, and I made a note to be extra careful about my security. Men like that, wounded pride could make them do stupid things. But I wasn't scared. I was prepared. Monday morning I returned to work. My colleagues had heard about the canceled wedding. Hospital gossip spreads faster than any disease. My supervisor, Janet, called me into her office. Nicole, I heard what happened. Are you okay? I'm fine. Better than fine, actually. If you need time off. I don't. I'd rather work. Keep myself busy. She nodded, understanding. Well, if you need anything, let me know. And for what it's worth, I think you did the right thing. Any man who asks for that kind of control isn't worth marrying. Throughout the day, various coworkers stopped by. Most were supportive. A few were nosy, fishing for details. I kept my explanations brief. During lunch, I sat with Tasha and two other nurses, Renee and Paula. So what are you going to do now? Renee asked. Dating apps? Absolutely not. I'm taking time for myself. No men, no dating, no complications. Good for you, Paula said. I wish I had your strength. I stayed with my ex way too long because I was scared of being alone. Being alone isn't scary, I said. Being with the wrong person is scary. After work, I stopped by the gym. Not Brandon's gym, a different one across town. I had joined over the weekend, needing a fresh start there too. An hour on the treadmill, 30 minutes of weights. Physical exhaustion felt good. Productive. As I was leaving, a man approached. Tall, handsome, friendly smile. Excuse me, I couldn't help but notice your form on the weights. You really know what you're doing. I recognized a pickup line when I heard one. Thanks. I've been working out for years. I'm Robert. I train here most evenings. Nicole. Nice to meet you. I kept walking toward the exit. He followed. Would you want to grab a smoothie sometime? There's a great place next door. I appreciate the offer, but I'm not interested in dating right now. Not dating, just smoothies. As friends. I stopped and looked at him directly. Robert, you seem nice. But I just got out of a relationship and I'm not looking for anything right now. Not dates, not smoothies, not friends who are hoping for more. I need time to myself. He held up his hands. I understand. Sorry for bothering you. You didn't bother me. I'm just being honest. As I drove home, I thought about how good it felt to be direct. To say exactly what I meant without worrying about hurting feelings or seeming difficult. Brandon had trained me to soften my words, to avoid confrontation, to make myself smaller. Never again. That night, my mother called. How was your day, baby? Good. Busy. I like busy right now. Your father wants to know if you need help with anything. He's ready to drive down there if you need him. Tell Daddy I'm fine. Really. I handled everything. I know you did. I'm still amazed at how you managed all of this. Canceling a whole wedding in less than a week. I was motivated. She laughed. That's one word for it. Your grandmother would have called it righteous anger. Grandma would have driven to Brandon's house herself and given him a piece of her mind. She absolutely would have. Rest her soul, that woman didn't tolerate nonsense from anyone. We talked for an hour, catching up on family news, carefully avoiding wedding talk. It felt normal, comfortable. My life settling back into its natural rhythm. Tuesday, I received an email from the wedding venue. The refund had been processed. 60% of my deposit, exactly as promised. It wasn't the full amount, but it was something. Over the next few days, other refunds trickled in. The caterer, the DJ, the photographer. I lost money overall, but less than I feared. The dress shop was understanding when I finally called. They couldn't take the dress back, but they offered to sell it on consignment for me. Some other bride would wear my dress and I would recoup most of the cost. Thursday evening, exactly 1 week after the ultimatum, I sat on my back patio with a glass of wine. The garden was beautiful in the evening light. Roses blooming, lavender swaying in the breeze. This was my sanctuary. My peace. My phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. You think you won, but you didn't. You're going to be alone forever. No man wants a woman like you. Too independent, too cold, too selfish. I hope you're happy with your house and your car and your money. That's all you'll ever have. Brandon, texting from a different number since I blocked him. I read the message twice, then deleted it without responding. He wanted to hurt me, wanted me to doubt my decision. Wanted me to feel like I made a mistake. But all I felt was relief. Relief that I saw who he was before I married him. Relief that I had the strength to walk away. Relief that my life was still my own. I blocked the new number and went back to enjoying my wine. Let Brandon think whatever he wanted. Let him tell his boys I was cold and selfish. Let him paint himself as the victim. I knew the truth, and so did everyone who mattered. I was free. The banging on my door started at 10 o'clock Saturday morning. Loud, aggressive, impossible to ignore. I checked my security camera. Brandon stood on my porch, looking disheveled. Unshaven, wrinkled clothes, wild eyes. Jerome and Patrick stood behind him, arms crossed. "Nicole, open this door," Brandon shouted. "We need to talk." I picked up my phone, keeping my voice calm and clear. "Brandon, you need to leave. We have nothing to discuss." "Open the door." "No. You're not coming in. This is my property and you're trespassing." "Trespassing? This was supposed to be our house. Our home. It's my house. It was always my house. Now leave before I call the police." "Call them," Jerome shouted. "We just want to talk." I noticed Mrs. Henderson from next door peeking through her curtains. "Good. Witnesses. You have 30 seconds to leave," I said through the camera speaker system. Brandon kicked the door. Not hard enough to damage it, but hard enough to make his anger clear. "You can't do this to me," he yelled. "You led me on. You made me think we had a future. We did have a future until you demanded I sign over everything I own. That was your choice, Brandon. Not mine." "My choice? You're the one who canceled everything. You humiliated me. My whole family knows. My friends know. Everyone thinks I did something wrong." "You did do something wrong. You tried to manipulate me into giving up my financial security. That's not love. That's control." Patrick stepped forward. "Man, let's just go. She's not worth it." But Brandon wasn't done. "All I asked was for you to show me you trusted me. That's all. And you couldn't even do that. Trust is earned, Brandon. You never earned it. You hid debt from me. You lied about your finances. You let your friends pressure you into making demands instead of being honest." "I wasn't hiding anything. I just didn't tell you every detail of my life. $20,000 in debt isn't a detail. It's a crisis. And you thought marrying me would solve it." Mrs. Henderson's door opened. She stepped onto her porch, phone in hand. "Young man, the lady asked you to leave. I'm calling the police right now if you don't go." Brandon looked at her, then back at my camera. "This isn't over, Nicole." "Yes, it is. It's been over since the moment you gave me that ultimatum. You just didn't realize it yet." He stood there for another moment, jaw clenched, fists balled. Then Jerome grabbed his arm. "Come on, man. Let's go." They walked back to the car. Brandon looked back one more time before getting in. I watched them drive away, then called Mrs. Henderson. "Thank you for that." "Of course, dear. Are you okay?" "I'm fine. He's just upset about the wedding being canceled." "I heard about that. My daughter told me. You did the right thing, you know. Any man who shows up at your house making demands and kicking doors isn't someone you want to marry." After we hung up, I documented everything. Screenshots of the security footage, notes about what was said, the timestamp. If Brandon tried anything else, I would have evidence. Tasha called an hour later. "Are you okay? Jerome's girlfriend just posted on social media about you. Calling you all kinds of names." "Let her. I don't care what Brandon's friends think. She's saying you broke his heart, that you played him." "His heart wasn't the issue. His wallet was. And I'm not apologizing for protecting myself." "I know. I just wanted you to know what's being said. Thanks for the warning. But I'm not engaging with any of it. They can talk all they want." Sunday morning, I went to church with my mother again. Afterward, we had lunch at her favorite restaurant. "You seem good," she observed, studying my face. "I'm good. Really. No regrets. Not even one. The only regret would have been going through with that wedding. Your father and I were talking. We're proud of how you handled this. You stayed calm, you planned carefully, and you protected yourself. That's maturity. I learned from the best." She smiled. "Your grandmother always said a woman needs 3 things to survive: faith, family, and financial independence. You have all 3. Grandma was a wise woman. She was. And she would have loved seeing you stand up for yourself like this." Monday at work, I focused on my patients and my duties. The gossip had mostly died down. People moved on to other topics, other drama. During my lunch break, I checked my email. One message stood out. From Christopher, the man who received Brandon's suit. "Dear Ms. Nicole, Mr. Peterson gave me your email address. I hope you don't mind. I wanted to thank you for the suit. I wore it to my job interview Monday and I got hired. I start next week. This suit gave me confidence I haven't felt in years. You didn't just give me clothing. You gave me hope. Thank you." I read the email 3 times, tears streaming down my face. This was what mattered. Not Brandon's anger or his friend's social media posts. But the fact that something good came from all of this. I wrote back, "Christopher, congratulations on your new job. I'm so happy the suit helped. You earned that position through your own merit. The suit just helped you feel like the capable person you already were. Best wishes for your future. That evening I treated myself to a nice dinner. Grilled salmon, roasted vegetables, a glass of good wine. I ate slowly, savoring every bite, enjoying the quiet of my own home. My phone rang. A known number. I answered cautiously. Hello? Is this Nicole? A woman's voice. Who's calling? This is Brandon's mother, Patricia. I think we need to talk. I considered hanging up. But curiosity won out. What do you want to talk about? My son is devastated. He loved you. He was planning a life with you. And you threw it all away over money? That's not what happened. He told me everything. How he asked you to combine assets and you refused. How you humiliated him by donating his suit. How you turned his friends against him. Mrs. Patricia, with respect, Brandon didn't tell you everything. He left out the part where he demanded I put my house, my car, and all my savings in his name. He left out the ultimatum. He left out the fact that he's $20,000 in debt and thought marrying me would solve his problems. Silence. Then, he has debt. You didn't know? No. He never mentioned debt. That's because he's been hiding it. From you, from me, probably from everyone. He tried the same thing with his last girlfriend. This is a pattern. More silence. I don't know what to say. You don't have to say anything. But maybe you should have a real conversation with your son about his choices. About why he thinks he's entitled to someone else's hard work. I didn't raise him to be like that. Then he learned it somewhere else. From his friends, maybe. From a culture that tells men they should control their partner's finances. I don't know. But I'm not the villain here, Mrs. Patricia. I'm just a woman who refused to be taken advantage of. We talked for another 20 minutes. By the end, her tone had changed. She apologized for calling me. She said she would talk to Brandon. She wished me well. I doubted it would make a difference. But at least she knew the truth now. That night I journaled. Something I hadn't done in years but felt compelled to do now. I wrote about the past 2 weeks. The shock, the anger, the fear, the resolve. I wrote about how it felt to stand up for myself, to refuse to back down. I wrote about freedom. 3 days later, on Thursday evening, I received a Facebook message from someone named Angela Price. The name was familiar but I couldn't place it immediately. Hi Nicole. You don't know me but we have a mutual connection. Brandon Torres. I think you and I should talk. I stared at the message, debating whether to respond. Another ex. Another woman he tried to scam? What about? I typed back. About Brandon's pattern. About what he did to me, what he did to you, and what he's probably going to do to the next woman. I'm trying to stop the cycle. We exchanged phone numbers and scheduled a call for that evening. Angela called at 8 o'clock sharp. Her voice was warm but tired. Thank you for talking to me. I know this is weird. It is weird, I admitted. But I'm listening. I dated Brandon 3 years ago. Before Shanice, actually. We were together for 8 months. Everything seemed great at first. He was charming, attentive, seemed genuinely interested in building something real. Let me guess. Then he started asking for money? Worse. He proposed. We got engaged. Started planning a wedding. And 2 months before we were supposed to get married, he told me he needed me to add him to my business. Your business? I own a small marketing firm. Nothing huge but it's successful. Brandon said that as my husband he should be a partner. He wanted 50% ownership. My jaw dropped. 50% of a business he had nothing to do with? Exactly. He said it wasn't about the money. It was about us being a team. About me showing him respect. The same language he probably used with you. Pretty much word for word. I said no, obviously. And he lost it. Started telling me I didn't really love him. That I was selfish. That his friends were right about me being too independent. When I still refused, he called off the wedding himself. He called it off? Yeah. Made himself the victim. Told everyone I was a heartless businesswoman who cared more about money than love. His family believed him. Some of our mutual friends believed him. It took months to recover from that. Why are you telling me this now? Because I saw the wedding venue post. They shared a cancellation notice on their public page. They do that sometimes. I recognized Brandon's name and did some digging. Found out you canceled the wedding. I figured he tried the same thing with you. He did. Demanded I put my house, car, and savings in his name. And you said no. Good for you. I didn't just say no. I canceled everything, changed my locks, and donated his wedding suit. Angela laughed. Actually laughed. Oh my God, that's perfect. I wish I had thought of something like that. It felt good. Really good. I bet. Listen, the reason I wanted to talk to you is because I want to expose him. I want other women to know what he does. I've started a blog documenting financial abuse in relationships. Would you be willing to share your story? Anonymously, of course. I thought about it. Part of me wanted to move on, forget Brandon existed. But another part wanted to warn other women. Wanted to make sure no one else fell for his manipulation. Let me think about it. Can I get back to you? Of course. Take your time. We talked for another hour. She told me about 2 other women she had found, women who dated Brandon after her but before Shanice. Same pattern every time. Get engaged, make financial demands, paint himself as the victim when they refused. 4 women. 4 times he tried this. And probably more we didn't know about. The next day at work I couldn't focus. I kept thinking about Angela's blog, about sharing my story, about whether it was worth the potential drama. During lunch I talked to Tasha. What do you think? Should I do it? Will it help you heal? I don't know. Maybe. But more than that, it might help someone else avoid what we went through. Then do it. But be careful. Keep it anonymous. Don't give details that could identify you specifically. That evening I wrote my story. Not all the details, but enough. The ultimatum, the cancellation, the suit donation. The relief of walking away. The freedom of choosing myself. I sent it to Angela. She posted it 2 days later, Sunday morning. By Sunday evening the blog post had hundreds of views. By Monday over 1,000. Comments poured in from women sharing their own stories of financial manipulation. Partners who demanded access to accounts. Fiancés who wanted their names on property. Husbands who controlled every dollar. The common thread was clear. This wasn't about love. It was about control. Tuesday morning Renee from work pulled me aside. Nicole, did you see this blog post going around? About a guy who keeps trying to scam women out of their assets. My heart stopped. No. What blog post? She showed me her phone. Angela's blog, my story, now viral on social media. This sounds exactly like what happened to you, Renee said. The ultimatum, the cancelled wedding, even the suit donation. That is what you did, right? Yeah, I admitted. That's my story. Did you write this? I did. Anonymously. Good. Because women need to know about men like this. My cousin went through something similar. Her boyfriend convinced her to add him to her lease, then stopped paying his share. She couldn't evict him because his name was on the lease. It took her a year to get him out. Throughout the day, 3 more coworkers mentioned the blog post. It was spreading faster than I anticipated. That evening Angela called. Nicole, I hope you're okay with this. The story blew up. We're getting thousands of views, hundreds of shares. I saw. It's bigger than I expected. Are you upset? No. Surprised but not upset. If it helps even one woman avoid what we went through, it's worth it. I've been contacted by a local news station. They want to do a segment on financial abuse in relationships. They want to interview women who have experienced it. Would you be interested? I don't know. That's pretty public. Think about it. No pressure. But your story is powerful. It shows that standing up for yourself is possible. I promised to consider it, but I wasn't sure. Going on TV meant exposure. It meant Brandon would definitely know if he didn't already. It meant potential backlash. But it also meant visibility for an important issue. Wednesday evening my mother called. Baby, I saw that blog post. The one about the man who keeps scamming women. You saw that. It's all over Facebook. Everyone's sharing it. That's your story, isn't it? Yes, Mama. I wrote it anonymously, but yes. I'm proud of you. So proud. You're helping other women see the warning signs. You're not worried about Brandon finding out? Let him find out. What's he going to do? Sue you for telling the truth. She had a point. Thursday morning, I woke up to 17 missed calls and twice as many text messages. Not from Brandon, but from women I didn't know. Women who found my number somehow, women who wanted advice, women who shared their own stories. I read every message. Some made me cry. Some made me angry. All of them reminded me why sharing my story mattered. One message stood out. From a woman named Claire. I saw your story online. I'm engaged to a man who just asked me to add him to my house title. We're getting married in 2 months. After reading your story, I realize he's been using the same tactics. Making me feel guilty for not trusting him. Telling me his friends think I'm selfish. I was going to say yes. But now I'm going to say no. Thank you for sharing. You might have just saved my life. I read that message 10 times. This was why it mattered. I called Angela back. I'll do the interview. If it helps even one more woman, it's worth the risk. The interview aired 2 weeks later on a Tuesday evening. I sat in my living room with Tasha and my mother watching myself on television. The producer had done a good job. They used soft lighting and kept my face partially obscured to maintain some anonymity. They called me Nicole S. and didn't show my full name or any identifying details about where I lived or worked. But anyone who knew me would recognize my voice, my mannerisms. I talked about the ultimatum, about realizing Brandon's true intentions, about the difficult decision to cancel a wedding 3 weeks before it happened. I talked about financial abuse, about how it starts with small requests that escalate into demands. The segment included 2 other women. One was Angela. The other was a financial advisor who specialized in helping women protect their assets. Financial abuse often begins with romantic gestures, the advisor explained. A partner who wants to manage your money for you, who insists on joint accounts, who makes you feel guilty for having financial independence. These are red flags. The interviewer asked me directly, what would you say to women who are facing similar situations? Trust your instincts. If something feels wrong, it probably is. Your financial security isn't something you owe anyone, not even someone you love. Real love doesn't come with ultimatums. After the segment ended, my phone exploded. Text messages, calls, social media notifications. Most were supportive. Some were critical. One message from a man read, "Women like you are why men don't want to get married anymore. You're selfish and materialistic." I blocked him immediately. Another message from a woman said, "Thank you for speaking up. My boyfriend has been pressuring me to combine our bank accounts. After hearing your story, I told him no. He got angry and broke up with me. You helped me see I dodged a bullet." More stories like that came in over the next few days. Women who recognized their own situations in my story. Women who made different choices because of what I shared. But there was backlash too. Brandon's friends went on a social media campaign trying to discredit me. Jerome posted a long rant about gold diggers and women who use men for their time and emotional labor but refuse to share their money. Patrick created a video calling me heartless and materialistic. Brandon himself stayed quiet publicly, but I heard through mutual acquaintances that he was furious. He felt I had humiliated him twice, first by canceling the wedding and now by going public with our story. I didn't care. His feelings weren't my responsibility anymore. 3 weeks after the interview, I was approached at the gym by a woman I'd never met. "Excuse me, are you Nicole?" From the news segment. I hesitated, then nodded. "I just want to thank you. My daughter was in a similar situation. She saw your interview and it gave her the courage to leave. She's safe now and rebuilding her life. So thank you." The woman hugged me before I could respond, then walked away. Moments like that made everything worth it. A month after the interview, I received a letter in the mail. The return address was from a women's shelter downtown. Inside was a handwritten note from their director. "Dear Nicole, we saw your interview and wanted to reach out. Your story resonated with so many women we work with. Women who have experienced financial abuse often feel alone and ashamed. Hearing you speak so openly about your experience helps them realize they're not alone. We would love to invite you to speak at one of our support groups if you're interested. No pressure, but we wanted to extend the invitation." I called them the next day and scheduled a talk for the following month. Meanwhile, life continued. Work, workouts, time with friends and family. I started taking a pottery class on Thursday evenings, something I always wanted to try but never made time for. The feel of clay between my fingers was meditative, calming. I reconnected with old friends I had neglected during my relationship with Brandon. College roommates, childhood friends, people who knew me before I became someone's girlfriend. "You seem happier," my friend Keisha observed one evening over dinner. "Lighter." "I am happier. I feel like myself again." "You lost yourself with him?" "Not completely. But I definitely compromised parts of who I was. I made myself smaller to make him feel bigger. Never do that again." "I won't. I promise." 2 months after the canceled wedding, I took a solo trip to New Orleans. Something I planned before meeting Brandon but never did because he wanted to go to different places. I walked through the French Quarter, ate beignets at Café du Monde, listened to jazz on Frenchmen Street. I felt free in a way I hadn't felt in years. On my last night there, I sat by the Mississippi River watching the sunset. A couple walked past me holding hands, laughing together. I didn't feel jealous or sad. I felt content. Maybe someday I would find that again. Real partnership, genuine love, mutual respect. But if I didn't, that was okay too. I was complete on my own. When I returned home, there was a package waiting on my porch. No return address, but my name was written in neat handwriting. Inside was a journal, leather-bound and beautiful. A note tucked inside read, "For your continued journey, may you always choose yourself first. With gratitude, Christopher." The man who received Brandon's suit. I smiled, touched by the gesture. That evening, I wrote in the journal for the first time. Today I realized I don't miss Brandon. I don't miss what we had because what we had wasn't real. It was based on his hidden agenda and my naive trust. What I have now is real. Freedom. Peace. Myself. 3 months post-cancellation, I spoke at the women's shelter. 20 women attended, ranging in age from early 20s to late 50s. They all had different stories but the same underlying theme. Men who controlled their money, limited their access to resources, made them feel dependent and helpless. I shared my story, answered questions, offered encouragement. The hardest part was accepting that I was being manipulated. I told them. I thought love meant compromise. I thought partnership meant sacrifice. But there's a difference between healthy compromise and losing yourself. A woman in her 40s raised her hand. How did you find the strength to leave? I got angry. Really angry. And I channeled that anger into action. I made lists, I planned, I executed. I didn't give him time to talk me out of it or make me feel guilty. I just acted. What if we don't have the resources you had? What if we can't just walk away? That's what places like this are for. I gestured around the shelter. There are resources. There are people who want to help. It's scary and it's hard, but staying is harder. Staying means losing yourself completely. After the talk, several women approached me privately. They thanked me, shared their stories, asked for advice. I gave them my email address and told them to reach out anytime. Driving home that night, I felt purposeful. My pain had become something useful. My story was helping others. That was healing in its purest form. 6 months after canceling the wedding, I sat in my backyard on a Saturday afternoon, reading a book Tasha had recommended. The garden was in full bloom. My roses were particularly beautiful this year, deep red and vibrant pink, filling the air with sweetness. I had just finished a 12-hour shift at the hospital, but instead of feeling exhausted, I felt energized. Work gave me purpose, and coming home to my peaceful sanctuary gave me rest. My phone rang. My supervisor, Janet. "Nicole, I hope I'm not bothering you on your day off." "You're not. What's up?" "I wanted to let you know that the director of nursing position is opening up. Karen is retiring at the end of the year. I think you should apply." My heart jumped. Director of nursing. It was a position I had dreamed about but thought was years away. Really? You think I'm ready? I think you're more than ready. You're skilled, respected, and you have natural leadership abilities. Plus, your advocacy work with the women's shelter hasn't gone unnoticed. That shows character. I'll definitely apply. Thank you for thinking of me. After we hung up, I sat there stunned. 6 months ago, I was planning a wedding to a man who wanted to take everything from me. Now I was being encouraged to apply for my dream job. The universe had a sense of humor. That evening, I went to dinner with Tasha, my mother, and my brother, who was visiting from Atlanta. "You're glowing," my brother observed. "Whatever you're doing, keep doing it." "I'm just living my life. Being myself." "It suits you," my mother added. "You look happier than I've seen you in years." "I'm happy. Really, genuinely happy." After dinner, as we were leaving the restaurant, a man held the door open for us. Tall, brown skin, genuine smile, wearing a green shirt. "Thank you," I said. "You're welcome. Have a good evening." Something in his voice made me glance back. He was looking at me too, still smiling. Tasha noticed. "He's cute." "I'm not interested." "I didn't say you had to be. I just said he's cute. And he was definitely checking you out." As we walked to the car, my brother teased me. "You know, eventually you might want to date again." "Maybe. But not now. I'm enjoying being on my own." "Fair enough. But when you're ready, make sure the next guy deserves you." Because Brandon sure didn't. A week later, I ran into the man from the restaurant again. This time at a bookstore. We were both in the fiction section, reaching for the same book. "Sorry," we said simultaneously, then laughed. "You have good taste," he said, gesturing to the book. "That author is excellent. One of my favorites. Have you read her other work?" "All of it. I'm a bit obsessed." We talked about books for 20 minutes. His name was Michael and he was a high school English teacher. He was funny, thoughtful, and easy to talk to. "Would you want to grab coffee sometime?" he asked. "To talk about books." No pressure. I hesitated, then thought about what Janet said. About being ready for new opportunities, new possibilities. Sure. Coffee sounds nice. We exchanged numbers. He texted me later that evening. "It was really nice meeting you, Nicole. Looking forward to coffee. Me too. But I didn't let myself get too excited. I had learned my lesson. Take things slow. Pay attention. Trust my instincts. The next 2 months passed in a comfortable rhythm. Work, pottery class, time with friends, occasional coffee dates with Michael. We took things slowly, getting to know each other without pressure or expectations. He never asked about my finances. Never hinted that he wanted anything from me except my time and conversation. When the check came at restaurants, he paid sometimes, I paid sometimes, we split it sometimes. Easy, natural. You're different from most guys I've dated, I told him one evening over dinner. Different how? You don't seem to have an agenda. You're just yourself. He smiled. I am just myself. What you see is what you get. I'm a teacher who loves books and bad puns. I live in a modest apartment. I drive a 10-year-old car. I'm not rich or flashy. But I'm genuine. Genuine is good. Genuine is what I need. At work, I submitted my application for the director of nursing position. The interview process was intense, multiple rounds with various administrators. But I felt confident, prepared, ready. 3 weeks later, Janet called me into her office. Congratulations, Nicole. The position is yours if you want it. I sat down, overwhelmed. Really? Really? You impressed everyone. They loved your vision for the department, your leadership style, your commitment to both patient care and staff development. The job is yours. I started crying. Happy tears, grateful tears. Thank you. Thank you so much. You earned it. This is your achievement, Nicole. Be proud. I called my mother immediately. Mama, I got the promotion. Baby, that's wonderful. I'm so proud of you. I can't believe it. 6 months ago, everything was falling apart. And now everything is coming together. That's because you made the hard choice. You chose yourself. And now you're reaping the rewards of that choice. That evening I celebrated with Tasha, Michael, and a few close friends. We went to my favorite restaurant, toasted with champagne, laughed until our sides hurt. To Nicole, Tasha raised her glass. For being brave enough to walk away from what was wrong and strong enough to build something right. To new beginnings, I added. As I looked around the table at people who genuinely cared about me, who celebrated my success without jealousy or agenda, I felt complete. This was what I had been missing with Brandon. This feeling of being valued for who I was, not what I had. Later that night, Michael walked me to my car. I'm really happy for you, Nicole. You deserve this promotion. Thank you. I'm excited and terrified at the same time. That's how you know it's right. The best things in life are a little scary. He kissed my cheek, gentle and sweet, then stepped back. I'm not rushing anything, he said. I just want you to know I think you're amazing. Take all the time you need to figure out what you want. I'm not going anywhere. I smiled. Thank you for being patient with me. Easy to be patient with someone worth waiting for. Driving home that night, I thought about how much my life had changed. How the worst moment of my life, that ultimatum from Brandon, led to the best decisions I ever made. I thought about all the women who reached out after my interview who found strength in my story. I thought about Christopher wearing his suit to job interviews, building a new life. I thought about myself standing in my living room 6 months ago, facing an impossible demand. I chose myself then. And I would keep choosing myself, every single day. The call came on a Tuesday morning, 8 months after I canceled the wedding. I was in my new office, settling into my role as director of nursing when my phone rang. Is this Nicole? Yes. Who's calling? This is Detective Morrison with the Financial Crimes Unit. I'm calling about Brandon Torres. Do you have a few minutes to talk? My heart raced. Yes. What's this about? Mr. Torres has been arrested for fraud and identity theft. During our investigation, your name came up. We believe you may have been a potential victim. I sat down slowly. Tell me everything. Detective Morrison explained that after Brandon and I broke up, he moved on to another woman. This time he convinced her to add him to her bank accounts. Within 2 months he had drained $30,000 and disappeared. She reported him. The investigation uncovered a pattern going back years. Multiple women, multiple schemes. Some he stole from directly. Others, like me, he tried to manipulate into signing over assets. We found records of his searches on his computer. He had been researching how to add his name to property titles, how to access retirement accounts, how to forge signatures on legal documents. It appears he was planning to steal from you even if you had agreed to his demands. I felt sick. If I had signed over my house, my car, my accounts, he would have taken everything and vanished. What happens now? He's being charged with multiple counts of fraud, identity theft, and financial abuse. The case is strong. We have testimony from 4 victims, plus documentation of his pattern. I wanted to inform you personally because your refusal to comply may have saved you from significant financial loss. Can I do anything to help? If you're willing, we'd like you to testify about his attempts to manipulate you. It helps establish the pattern. I'll do it. Whatever you need. After we hung up, I sat in my office processing. Brandon was finally facing consequences. Real consequences. I called Angela immediately. Did you hear? I did. Detective Morrison called me this morning too. Can you believe it? I almost can't, but I'm glad. He was never going to stop on his own. The detective said if the new victim hadn't reported him, he would have just kept moving from woman to woman. How many more would there have been? How many women did we save by speaking out? Impossible to know. But the important thing is he stopped now. 3 weeks later, I testified at Brandon's preliminary hearing. The courtroom was smaller than I expected, but the weight of the moment was enormous. I saw Brandon for the first time in 8 months. He looked different. Thinner, harder, defeated. His eyes found mine for a moment and I saw something there. Anger maybe. Or shame. I couldn't tell and didn't care. I took the stand and told my story. The ultimatum, the demand, the 3-week timeline. The way he tried to make me feel guilty for protecting myself. Brandon's lawyer tried to paint me as vindictive, as a woman scorned. Isn't it true you were angry Mr. Torres called off the engagement? He didn't call it off. I did. But you were upset. I was relieved. Discovering who someone really is before you marry them is a gift, not a tragedy. The prosecutor asked me about the suit donation. Why did you donate Mr. Torres's wedding suit? Because I wanted it to help someone who deserved it. Someone who would appreciate it. Someone who was trying to better their life instead of stealing from others. After my testimony, I sat in the gallery and watched the other victims testify. Each story was heartbreaking. Women who lost savings, who had their credit ruined, who struggled to rebuild after Brandon's destruction. The woman he stole from most recently broke down on the stand. I trusted him. I loved him. And he took everything. The judge set a trial date for 3 months later. Over those 3 months, I focused on my new position at work, my relationships with friends and family, my careful, slow-moving relationship with Michael. Michael never asked about Brandon except once. Are you okay? With everything happening with the trial? I'm okay. It's hard to relive it, but I'm glad he's being held accountable. You're brave. You know that. I'm just someone who refused to be a victim. The trial lasted 2 weeks. I didn't attend most of it, but I was there for the verdict. The jury deliberated for 4 hours. When they returned, the 4 women stood. On the count of fraud, we find the defendant guilty. On the count of identity theft, we find the defendant guilty. On the count of financial abuse, we find the defendant guilty. Guilty on all counts. Brandon showed no emotion, but I saw his shoulders slump. Sentencing was scheduled for a month later. The prosecutor told me he would likely get 5 to 7 years in prison. That evening, I met with Angela, Shanice, and 2 other victims for dinner. We toasted to justice, to healing, to the strength it took to speak our truth. We did this, Angela said. All of us together. We stopped him. And we'll help stop others like him, I added. By continuing to share our stories, by teaching women to recognize the signs. 2 months later, on a Saturday afternoon, I hosted a garden party at my house. Friends, family, co-workers. 50 people in my backyard eating good food, enjoying beautiful weather, celebrating life. My mother pulled me aside at one point. Look at this, Nicole. Look at what you built. Not just this house, but this life. These relationships. This peace. I almost gave it all away. But you didn't. That's what matters. Michael found me later, standing by my rose bushes. Penny, for your thoughts? Just thinking about how different my life is now compared to a year ago. Better? So much better. I have my dream job. I have real friendships. I have a home that's truly mine. And I have possibility. Possibility? For whatever comes next. I'm not scared anymore. I'm not worried about making the wrong choice or trusting the wrong person. I learned to trust myself. He took my hand. For what it's worth, I'm glad you learned that lesson before you met me. I get to know the strong version of you. The real version of me. As the sun set over my garden, I looked around at all the people I loved, all the life I had built. I thought about Brandon sitting in a prison cell facing the consequences of his actions. I thought about all the women who would never be his victims because we spoke up. I thought about Christopher wearing that suit to work every day at his new job. I thought about Claire, the woman who canceled her wedding after reading my story. I thought about every life that changed because I refused to be silent. And I thought about myself. Nicole. Director of nursing. Homeowner. Friend. Daughter. Sister. Woman who chose herself when it mattered most. My phone buzzed. A text from Detective Morrison. Brandon was sentenced today. 7 years. Justice served. I showed the text to Tasha, who was standing nearby. It's really over, she said. No, I corrected. It's really beginning. That night, after everyone left and my house was quiet again, I sat on my back patio with a cup of tea. The garden was peaceful in the moonlight. Everything exactly as it should be. I opened Christopher's journal and wrote one final entry. Today I celebrated with people I love in a home I own. I am safe. I am free. I am whole. The man who tried to take everything from me is in prison. The women he hurt are healing. The women he never got to hurt are protected. And I am here, living the life I built with my own hands and my own strength. This is my happy ending. Not because I found someone to complete me, but because I learned I was already complete. The rest is just bonus. I closed the journal and looked up at the stars. Tomorrow I would go to work, continue building my career, keep making a difference. I would see Michael for dinner, no pressure, just possibility. I would call my mother, laugh with Tasha, water my roses. I would live my life. Fully, freely, joyfully. On my own terms. Always on my own terms.